Hi everyone, it's me again, Melody. I'm the project manager of the Sustainable Diner, and I'm ready to serve you with another menu of knowledge following our discussion on planet-based diets. To recall, planet-based diets are dietary choices one can make which are beneficial for both human and planetary health. In the past, restaurants would serve menus according to what their customers want and what they like to serve without considering the resources and the impacts of their business operations due to the environment and also the long-term effects of unhealthy eating to our overall well-being. Now, of course, with people getting more conscious about preserving our health, ever curious on how and where their food is produced, and at the same time, more concerned with the state of our planet, it is now the responsibility of the restaurants to be mindful in the way they feed the people and also being mindful of their sustainable ways. Learning from the principles of planet-based diets, let us now learn how we can integrate these steps in creating menus in our restaurants. We have listed 6 steps restaurants can consider taking in starting their journey towards supporting their customers' health and lessening the impacts of their food offerings to our one and only planet. So the first step is revisiting your menus regularly. We know that the heart of the restaurants would be their menu offerings. So in creating a menu, first thing that we need to develop would be our entrees or your main dishes. So how do we define a main dish? Main dishes are the heaviest, heartiest, and most complex or substantial dish in a meal, and usually the main ingredient is meat, fish, or other protein source. So in order for us to further understand the concepts behind, let us have an example of a main dish that is typically served in Filipino restaurants, and that is your kare-kare. So your kare-kare is actually a type of Filipino stew which is rich and thick by using peanut sauce, and the traditional recipe is composed of your oxtail and your ox tripe. So let us now answer the questions listed in our slide. So first one, does your kare-kare have other protein alternatives? So deviating from the beef, which has high carbon footprint, one can opt to use pork, chicken, or even experiment on using fish as a protein source for your kare-kare. Then the second question is, does your kare-kare have a vegetarian option where there will be no meat in the dish? Or one can use tofu as the main protein source. For the third question, besides kare-kare, do you have other main dishes that are mostly plant-based? Do you minimize the cooking process, such as cooking time for the main dish to be cooked? So, rule of thumb is, the less process your food undergoes, the more it retains its nutritional quality. It also reduces the use of your electricity, fuel, and water in creating your food. Next question would be, do you use seasonal and local items? It is really high time to get creative and explore the indigenous crops that we have here in our country. Instead of using imported cabbages, for example, maybe you can use locally grown cabbage or other leafy greens that we have. Do you use less salt or other sodium containing seasonings in your main dishes? So high sodium consumption, for your information, is actually linked to several non-communicable diseases. Then, last but not the least, do you consider lessening the food items in your menu? Do you revisit your offerings in such a way that you remove items that are considered cash cows and just focus on managing a considerable number of items? So these are your considerations for your main dish. Building on your main dishes would be the selection of your food accompaniments such as your soups, appetizers, side dishes, and carbohydrate-rich food. Often, they are mostly plant-based, except on some occasions where your appetizers can be comprised of protein sources as well. So focus on these menu listings, and we will be actually focusing on the seasonal and local items. So also for our rice as our staple food, we typically consume well-milled rice, and most often they are always imported from other countries. So why not offer heirloom or local rice varieties such as your brown, black, or red rice? They are also high in fiber and high in nutrient density. Next, If you are cooking your fruits and vegetables, the less cooking and processing, the more they maintain their innate nutrients, especially your vitamins and minerals that are heat sensitive. It is highly suggested actually that you offer salads, but you must ensure that safety is on top of mind since they are mostly ready to eat. And to cap that off, your restaurants can consider producing their own items such as your pickled fruits and vegetables, salad dressings, condiments like their own vinegar, and other natural flavorings. For the last part of menu planning, you can now build your list of desserts and beverage options. So again, freshness and high nutrient content can be the top considerations for creating your roster. A restaurant can consider lessening sugar content, using natural sweeteners, or you can also go sugar-free. You should also grab the opportunity to serve fresh fruits and vegetables, especially those in season, as they are cheap, more flavorful, and more nutrient dense. Lastly, why not innovate to make your desserts and beverages healthier? For example, your leche flan can be less in terms of cholesterol by using the whole egg instead of using the yolks only. Or better yet, you can also add ingredients like squash to make calabasa leche flan. Actually, there's no limit in the creativity of the restaurants in terms of menu planning. But now, planet-based diet concepts can help you turn your typical menu items into elevated offerings which is high in nutritional quality yet low in your environmental impacts. The second step will be focused on sourcing and procurement. The cardinal rule is plain and simple. Work with your suppliers and get to know them in a deeper level. Know where your raw materials come from and ensure that you get the freshest, sustainably sourced, and reasonably priced commodities. As much as possible, work with local and sustainable suppliers, and as much as you can, work directly with your food producers. That would be your farmers and your fisher folk. Not only do this promote sustainability by having less food miles, they also contribute to social inclusion and fair trade. You can also consider working on what is available and even on what is homegrown. Again, creativity in the menu is an endless possibility. Third is to evaluate your portion sizes and make them reasonable. I personally encounter eating in restaurants with insane portion sizes, and often they end up not being consumed, and as a consumer, it is a waste of money. But also for the restaurants, that same goes for you, and you don't even know it. So try to revisit your portioning, especially the amount of protein you put in. With the rising prices, it is believed that the right portioning can also help restaurants reduce their food costs and can benefit them in the long run. Restaurants can also consider offering half servings. That way, consumers have the liberty to have more food choices that they can taste and try without their food going to waste or will make them overeat. Another tip we can give you is to consider the sizes of your containers, dinnerwares, and glasses. The bigger the plate, for example, there is an increased pressure for you to fill it up with more food. So you might try using smaller plates and dinnerwares. Fourth is to avoid food waste at all cost. Food waste is really a wicked problem that we must all avoid at all cost. The key step in reducing food waste, especially at source, is careful planning and regular checking of your storage, and considering also the storage equipment that you have, such as your refrigerators, chillers, freezers, which keep our food for a long period of time, and they also ensure food safety. Aside from preparing food in bulk and storing it, ideally, one way to reduce stored food from going to waste is to prepare food a la minute. That way, you only prepare what is needed. Then next, avoid using garnishing that are not often eaten. As a tip, you can garnish food with an ingredient that is part of the composition of the food. Food utilization is also a must, employing head to tail and skin to seeds principles in maximizing the potential of your food to nourish and feed. Next is to use your ugly produce as your ingredients. So when we say ugly produce, these are the fruits and vegetables that are oddly shaped or those that have imperfections. So throughout the food's journey from farm to fork, a lot of our produce are being rejected simply because they are not perfect. In truth, these products are just safe to eat and as nutritious as your perfectly looking ones. So we should let go of our unreasonable standards for perfection and give your ugly produce a chance. And this would prevent a lot of both food loss and food waste. Lastly, make your guests part of the solution to fight food waste by involving them in your initiative. So let them know that you are a restaurant who values food that you serve to them. You can put in table toppers with messages on food waste and how they can contribute to make your operations better in order for you to serve them in a sustainable way. So if you want to learn more about food waste prevention and management, we also have our food waste management module in this training series. Reducing overall waste and packaging can be a part of your menu planning by ensuring that you generate less pollution and waste in creating your dishes. It is advisable that for regularly consumed items, buying in bulk is the best way to go. This lessens the containers you generate, and bigger containers tend to be more reusable. Consider also ingredients that use less packaging, like your single-use plastics. Choose suppliers that provide reusable packaging where there will be a system of return and exchange between both parties. Lastly, menu planning also involves the deliveries and takeout services offered by our restaurants. So in this case, it is suggested to use sustainable packaging instead of other single-use items. If you want to learn more on how to distinguish necessary from unnecessary single-use plastics, we also have the plastics problem for sustainable diners module in this training series. There are a lot of ways by which conservation of resources can be part of your menu planning. So in terms of water, one way of conserving is to use the liquid from boiling ingredients as your stocks, soups, and sauces. Another is using energy efficient equipment for both preparation and cooking, which can also be considered by restaurants. This is actually a big investment at the start, but in the long run, the financial and environmental benefits will be realized. Cutting down processes and cooking time can not only help in terms of maintaining the nutritional quality of your food, but they can also help you to save cost. Imploring upon request policy for water and condiments can also contribute to cutting down your cost and utilization of resources. As water is a very valuable resource, you can find ways on how to reduce the use of your clean water all the time by saving used water for other purposes like watering your garden, for cleaning, etc. So if you want to learn more about the advantages of conserving resources for your business, check out our efficient use of resources module in this training series. So that's it. That concludes our two-part series on planet-based diet menu planning for restaurants. It is our hope that the present and future food service sector shall use the lessons of all our training series, and may this initiative help build businesses who are responsible stewards for our planet and promoters of proper nutrition and good health. Thank you very much. If you want to learn more about planet-based diets and other initiatives of WWF through the Sustainable Diner Project, follow our social media pages and visit our website at wwf.org.ph.